There are safer classes you can invest in to go through things. There are safer businesses you can be able to build. They take a little bit longer to build, but I will tell you, the faster it comes in, the faster it can go out. The slower it takes to build, the slower it takes to run out. And you'll have a completely different experience based upon your path. So believe in yourself, trust yourself, but you can only do that once you get to know yourself.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you, my fellow contrarians, for joining another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I'm going to tell you the reality of what happens when you actually go and build a business. So I was chatting with my niece yesterday, and we were going through conversations because she was asking me questions about like wealth generation. And so we were going back and forth, and I was asking her a few questions to be able to understand what she was looking for. And so most of the times when people come to me and they ask me questions, I ask them a couple key questions like, what's your risk profile? And she goes, what's your risk profile? I was like, are you a gambler? Do you like going to casinos and gambling and playing poker? She's like, oh no. I'm like, okay, like, do you take any chances, or everything that you do calculated? I don't take any risk whatsoever. And then you go like, okay, so like, what are you really looking for? Oh, I want to know the secrets of being successful. And so for me, in my youth, success was always a benchmark based upon status or accumulated dollars a person is worth, right? So that person must be smarter, better looking, more intelligent to go through, was the belief I used to hold. Then after like getting a little bit older, you realize, oh, that person just suffered longer than the average person to figure out what actually works, identified a niche that they could accelerate in. And it makes a lot of sense that the business that they picked is a direct representation of who they are. I'll give you an example. Like if you look at like the UFC, right? UFC struggled for years. When you look at a guy like Dana White, you realize that dude's been fighting his whole life. So he just found his way to express himself in a particular way. That's why he loves everything that's going through. He's willing to suffer at different moments through all of the additional pressures that get put on top of you. And so when I express that to her, she goes to me and she goes, well, damn, I didn't think about those things. Because she had just taken 6 months off to try to start a business and go through. And as I was sharing with my mentee as well today, I shared with them, I said, give yourself 3 years. Just give yourself 3 years. It'll take you, depending on if you have a proper mentor, 3 years after you spend time with them, you should be golden, because you should be at a point where your income is exceeding what it was prior to knowing them 3 years prior. Because that first year is a manner of self-discovery. The second year is a manner of process discovery. And the third year is about acceleration. If you have a certain amount of patience, you're going to understand this, because it's just the law of averages. That's all it is. But that person who's willing to deal with that level of discomfort over that period of time seems insurmountable when you first start. I'm telling you, take a second. Think about it. If I told you you're literally 3 years away from the ideal scenario you want in life, how many people are going to look at that and go, damn, that's too long? Or go, damn, that's it? That will tell me exactly what your probability is of actually achieving that item. Because to me, success is about like being at a place of choosing and spending a majority of time doing the things you love to do. Everything in life has its beauties and ashes. You know, like if you don't believe me, ask anybody with children. One moment they could go ahead and they could just melt your heart. The next moment you're like, what are you doing? And then you realize they're children. They're not fully developed adults. And even when they become an adult, you realize they're just older children. And then you get to this point where you realize that everybody in the world is just older children trying to figure shit out. And that is when freedom is success. Because financial success is a small category, a microcosm, a reflection of their life. Are they fulfilled? Do they have good relationships? Do they have like loving family that adores them and they adore themselves? Do they live in a city that they actually are enamored by? Those are the questions that we should measure success by. Because you could be completely cash poor, but life rich. Or you could be cash rich and life poor. And you got to choose. I believe you can have both. It just takes a little, it's right on the other side of this 4-letter word called work. So the reason why I was sharing all this information and the things I want you to be able to gain is that I want you to really sit back and take a deep assessment of yourself. Because I'm here to tell you, like, business is about congruency. It's about things being in harmony. To me, it is so much easier to talk about companies and business and processes that you thoroughly enjoy. Because I traded in doing 40 hours, more like 50 hours a week of work for 90 hours of work. I'm always working. It doesn't matter the day of the week. I have one friend, he coined it best. He said, there's only 2 days I don't work on this earth. And that is Jesus's birthday and Jesus's death. Other than that, I'm working. He said, I got 363 opportunities. I'm going to make sure I get all of mine. You know? But he's wired that way. You know? Like, that's just how he is. I can't think of a better thing to do than talk about business and talk about money and find opportunities and help build go-to-market strategies. That's what I love to do. But I didn't realize it until I stepped into the right environment that helped me support my level of freak. You know, it's like the healthiest relationships is when you see people that match each other's freak. That's where you realize, like, oh my God, we're gonna be glowing. I am obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters. If you didn't know that, that's my jam. I'm still playing it. I don't care when this podcast episode, you see this episode at some point in time and you send me a line from K-pop Demon Hunters, I got you. And so that is the thing that I want you to know is that, like, you come to me and you start talking to me about Texas football or my Philadelphia Eagles, it's game on. We're going to have fun. I got John Cena behind me. I'm going to talk about wrestling. Those are the things that make life so much more fulfilling, is when you can go ahead and you can directly correlate your efforts towards the things you want to do. I have my children behind me, my wife behind me, people that have meaning to me behind me. That's all because that's my constant reminder every time I get on a video call. But why do I do what I do? So if you happen to call me after a certain period of time, you know I'm either on the soccer pitch, at the hockey rink, or I'm at a game. I'm doing those things because I'm spending 80% of the time doing the things that I want to do. That's the key goal, is looking at those spaces and assessing exactly what it is that you choose to do. That's the best part about being free, is that you get to choose it. So if you actually want to embark on your journey of freedom, it starts with understanding who you are. So my niece's situation, she one of her core things that she cares about is safety. I go, okay, your best bet is actually to do affiliate marketing. And she goes, what? I'm like, yeah, that's your best bet. Why? Because you have the safety of consistent income that you have from your day job. And then you're at a place where you can promote other people's products and other things that meet your standard, but you do not have the risk associated with having to build out all the formulations and all the things that are going through and doing all that stuff. Like, that is not something that I would be doing, because that risk profile is going to drastically disrupt what it is that you like in life. That's what influencers do. That's the whole purpose, is to go ahead and bring awareness, because you can bring revenue. If you can bring revenue to a newer company on a product that you believe in, then you should get a piece of the revenue that you deliver to them. And she goes, well, damn, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, that's why for the most part, what I realized that I really like doing is I like jumping on trains that are already moving. It's much simpler because the train's already moving. Then All I have to do is figure out and build a more efficient process to help it run faster. So not having to go from basically zero, it's more of my personality style. But life will tell you, oh my God, you got to be a founder and you got to do this and you got to like, hey, no, I will warn you. But if you are that level of like, you just have that level of like wiring and driven and doing things, go do it then. More power to you. You'll recognize that when you're spending your time doing that in the environment of people you want to be around, man, oh man, there's nothing sweeter. So to land the plane, remember, wealth generation has more to do with who you are than who you think you should be. Get to know yourself. Get to know your different risk profile. Get to know the things that you do based upon, if you had the opportunity, where do you feel that you expand the most? Figure out that piece. Then what you're going to do is you're going to move to a place where your investment thesis matches your actual thesis. If you're not a gambler, do not go buy a bunch of crypto just because you hear about it on the news. Trust me, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Do not go become a day trader. If you're afraid of landing and falling on the ground, you're going to get your ass handed to you by people who are willing to do that and willing to test it. You'd be better off investing in indexes because it's a much, like, you just know what you're doing. You diversified it across the 500 best companies in America today. Go buy bonds. You know exactly what kind of return you're going to receive. There are safer classes you can invest in to go through things. There are safer businesses you can be able to build. They take a little bit longer to build, but I will tell you, the faster it comes in, the faster it can go out. The slower it takes to build, the slower it takes to run out. And you'll have a completely different experience based upon your path. So believe in yourself, trust yourself, but you can only do that once you get to know yourself. So as always, stay hungry, stay humble, and stay grateful. Thank you for listening to another episode. And until the next episode, cheers, everybody.